What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Marvel's Avengers video, and today let's talk about the best farming methods and a few tips in the Spidey DLC. Of course, how to reach the max level cap and power level, get ready for the OLTs, and of course the new claw ride. But more important, what mistakes you need to avoid along the way, because you might be missing out on possibly the best item set for Spider-Man right now. There's a few more tips and tricks in here that we will cover, so let's jump right into it. Let's begin with the crafting system, because this has gone through a major revamp that completely changes the way you upgrade your gear. As a matter of fact, you will even notice that a bunch of the resources are gone in the new update, and they have been pretty much converted into the three major ones, which are the fragments, the upgrade modules, and of course the polycoron for some of the artifacts in the game. But for the most part, you no longer use these resources straight away to boost an item one level at a time, and instead you will consume items of the same category but of a higher power level to boost up your existing gear. Yes, it sounds a bit complicated, but let me give you a quick example. Let's assume, just like in my case, that you already had a character that was 130 power level in the previous updates and you want to bring him up to 140 in the new one. In my case, I want to boost up this exotic piece of gear, and I already have a few options available to consume. In this case, I will use that epic piece of 136 to bring that same power level to my current exotic. And this is one of the major advantages of the new system. You don't just upgrade it one level at a time, you upgrade it straight to that piece of gear that you used at consuming. In this case, it jumps a whole 6 levels, but it could have been way higher. If you have anything over 100 power level and over purple quality, you can upgrade that to any current max level cap you might have, all the way up to 175, assuming that you're completing some of the OLTs and of course the new raid that has been added in the new update. For the regular gear in the regular content, that's gonna be 140 and 150 respectively, so that's how you will do it in that case. At the same time, this will also differ in resource consumption depending on what type of gear you upgrade. If you upgrade a piece of gear of a lower quality like a purple using a higher quality one like a legendary or even an exotic, the cost will be reduced in comparison to having it the other way around, like having an exotic upgraded with a purple will obviously have a much higher cost in both fragments as well as upgrade modules. This brings me to a major PSA and a huge mistake that you need to avoid right now, especially if you're playing Spidey on PlayStation and are planning to bring him up to the maximum power level. At the end of his quest chain right now, you will get a really powerful, spectacular legendary set that comes with some of the most powerful perks you can get for this hero. Obviously, you can probably get these from the OLT, but it's a really nice boost. But if you get it below 100 power level, it's gonna be pretty much useless, since you won't be able to bring that up to, well, 140 or 150 plus. As I've said previously, only 100 plus power level items can be further increased by more than 10 power levels. So in this case, what I suggest is to go ahead and further farm some pieces of gear, get at least 100 power level average on your character, and only then finish up the quest chain to get those spectacular pieces. Like for example, there's one in this case that gives me over 40% damage increase if enemies are webbed up with one of my special abilities, and like the set in general comes with some really powerful perks on it that I haven't seen on any gear so far, at least not from the regular content. Once you're done with that, obviously you can go ahead and finish the quest track. There's about like 17 or 18 steps in total that you need to complete, and some of them you can actually complete in the harm room challenges. Not the custom harm room, that's not going to count, but the other challenges on the helicarrier will definitely count for that. Like for example, spinning zipped enemies, that definitely counts in there, and there's a few more in there that you could also complete at the same time. Now obviously, since we were talking about having enough power level to afford those items, but also for other characters, there's a couple of methods in here that you can use to quickly reach 150 power level and also level 50 in just a little bit. So starting things off, there's a couple of options that you have when it comes to farming gear and reaching 150. One of them is Day of the Remains, which still remains obviously one of the best methods to just farm gear from strong boxes and boost up about 10 eye levels every single run. And since in this level there's over 15 to 20 chests, this means it's super easy to find gear for almost any slot, which also means that in just a couple of hours you will reach 150. But obviously with the Wakanda DLC we also have an alternative to that, which is going to be this mission right here in the Wakanda region called Here Comes the Pain. This map has a number of really neat advantages. One of them is the fact that it's way more compact and there's a higher concentration of chests in one small area. Even though the chests are less, only about 10 to 13, it still means that you can complete it much faster and gain power level boost much easier than in the previous quest. At the same time, there's a second advantage, which is this really cool cluster of vibranium deposits that you can break somewhere around the middle of the map that will give you access to vibranium and sonic gear. So all in all, I think that if you were to do a mix-up of these two, you're gonna reach 150 super easy, and from that point on you're going to want to go ahead and level up your character. And there's a good reason why I recommend leaving your levels after upgrading your gear. The reason for that is because if you have 150 power level but are of low level with the character, you can deal quite a lot of damage and level up much faster than if you were to do it the other way around. Now, in the previous updates, we would use Up from the Depths, one of the iconic missions from Black Widow in the Northern Expanse, to level up really quickly. Here you just have to defeat an Adaptoid in the starting area, and once you defeated him, just reload the checkpoint right away before the elevator opens up the area ahead. And that was a pretty solid method, but there's actually a new one, or semi-new one, in the new update, which is going to be located in a different iconic mission, this time around for the Incredible Hulk. This one is called Heart of the Monster and is located in the Utah Badlands, and essentially once you exit the starting area you're going to reach the city where you have to defeat your first boss. And this is the boss that you want to farm right here because it gives you the same amount of XP, but unlike the Adaptoid in the previous level, it doesn't have any invincibility shields. So this is basically how I reached level 50. Once you're done with him and defeated them, you can just go ahead and repeat the checkpoint, and you're gonna be brought to the same location and jump straight into the combat right away. It's also super easy since you should have 150 power level anyway at this time, so you're gonna reach that 50 in no time. But this also brings us to the final point, and that's gonna be about farming gear past 140 and 150. And for the time being, if you're just playing out with a fresh character, either Spidey or somebody else, I definitely recommend some of these vibranium events that are on the map. Especially so, I fully recommend the corrupted vibranium version of the We Are Back mission in the Eastern Seaboard right here, because there's actually two clusters of vibranium that you can find in a very tight space. The first cluster contains 3 pillars and it's actually super close to the first objective, so just run past the objective right here next to the city blocks and destroy the 3 pillars that will give you access to some really cool gear. And the next one is just a few meters down the same road, another cluster of 2 up to 3 vibranium deposits that you can again break and get some really cool gear. In this case, a ton of vibranium and sonic gear pieces that you will definitely need for the new raid if you're getting ready for it, or if you're not doing enough damage with your current characters. This is it though. Thank you so much for watching. Totally let me know down below in the comments what's your preferred method of farming, and I'll see you guys in the next video.